I thought I was just going to a party my friend promised would be unforgettable. I didn't realize that by the end of that night, I'd be fighting for my freedom, and later, my life. And the worst part? The person who put me there was someone I trusted. I'm a 29-year-old guy, and this all started with a text from my friend Marcus. He invited me to a party he was hosting and hyped it up hard. Said it was going to be legendary. Unforgettable. At the time, I thought he was just exaggerating like usual. I had no idea how literal he meant that. When the party got going, Marcus gathered everyone together and told us he had a special surprise. He led us upstairs into one of his many bedrooms. He lived in this massive house, and in the middle of the room was this huge box-shaped object covered with a cloth. Everyone was buzzing. Phones were out. He slowly pulled the cloth away. Under it was a massive metal cage. Inside the cage was a fully grown lion. For a split second, the room went dead silent. I remember my stomach dropping. This wasn't cool or edgy or impressive, it was insane. Dangerous. Then, like an idiot, one guy walked up to the cage and stuck his hand near it. That was all it took. The lion swiped, scratched his hand, and suddenly started slamming itself against the bars. That was it for me. I didn't wait around. I turned and left the room immediately. As I was heading downstairs, I heard a scream. Then chaos. People running, yelling, panic everywhere. I bolted out the front door. My car was parked a few blocks away, and I sprinted the entire distance. I didn't stop until I was inside, doors locked, driving away. The whole ride home, I was shaking, replaying it over and over in my head. I kept thinking I could have died in that house. When I got home, I locked every door and just sat there in silence, trying to process what I'd just seen. It felt unreal, like a nightmare you wake up from, but I hadn't woken up. A few days later, the police called me. They said the party had been reported. Someone was injured. They wanted my statement since I'd been seen there. I agreed, figuring I'd tell them what I saw, and that would be it. Then the officer said something that almost made me drop the phone. He told me someone had accused me of bringing the lion to the party. I laughed at first, like actually laughed because it was so absurd. I told him that wasn't possible. I wasn't the host. Marcus was. But the cops said multiple witnesses were claiming otherwise, and I needed to come in for questioning. That's when the fear really hit. I knew I needed a lawyer. The only person I trusted was a lawyer my uncle had used years ago. My uncle had been accused of embezzlement, and the evidence looked airtight. Everyone thought he was done. Then this lawyer, I'll call him Tommy, tore the case apart piece by piece. My uncle walked free. Ever since then, our family swore by Tommy. He wasn't cheap. I didn't care. We met before going to the station, and he laid it out plainly. The charges I could be facing were serious. Reckless endangerment. Causing bodily harm. Real prison time, if this stuck. At the station, I told the truth. I was just a guest. I had no idea about the lion. But then they started listing witnesses. People claiming they saw me involved, saying I helped bring it in. I was stunned. These people were lying. Flat out lying. By the time I left, I felt hollow. Like I'd walked into an alternate reality where up was down, and I was suddenly the villain. Tommy was waiting outside, calm as ever, leaning against his car like this was just another Tuesday. On the drive, he told me straight up it was going to be a fight. People lie when they're scared. And someone was clearly trying to protect themselves. That someone was Marcus. A few days later, Tommy called me into his office and dropped the real bombshell. This whole thing wasn't random. It was calculated. Marcus was obsessed with his social media presence. He was known online for throwing wild, over-the-top parties. That was his brand. But recently, his engagement had tanked after an incident involving a girl at one of his parties. People tried to cancel him, and it worked. Likes, shares, sponsorships, all gone. He was desperate. Tommy showed me messages, emails, posts where Marcus hinted that his next party would be legendary and unforgettable. He hadn't brought a lion for fun. He did it to go viral. To shock people. To get attention back. And when it went wrong, he needed a scapegoat. I was one of the few sober people there. the easy target. As we got closer to proving the truth, things escalated. I started getting anonymous threats. Someone tried to break into my apartment. A brick was thrown through my window. It was clear they were trying to scare me into backing off. Then came the night that nearly killed me. I was driving home when I pressed the brakes, and nothing happened. The pedal went straight to the floor. My heart stopped. I yanked the emergency brake, swerved wildly, barely avoided other cars, and finally came to a stop inches from a tree. Someone had tampered with my brakes. When I told Tommy, he was furious. He said this wasn't just intimidation anymore. This was attempted murder. We kept pushing. Tommy tracked down the exotic animal dealer Marcus had contacted. No easy task. Eventually, we found him in a rundown warehouse that smelled like decay. When we mentioned Marcus's name, the guy relaxed and told us everything. Marcus had paid a small fortune for the lion weeks before the party. Then we got security footage from a neighbor's doorbell camera, clear video of Marcus leading the lion into his house before the party. That was it. We took everything to the police. This time, they couldn't ignore it. Marcus was arrested. Charges piled up, reckless endangerment, endangering lives, framing me, and more. The charges against me were dropped. Completely. I was free, but shaken. I'd been dragged through hell for something I didn't do, nearly killed because someone wanted internet clout. Marcus? He's looking at serious prison time. I still think about how close I came to losing everything that night. All because I trusted the wrong friend. So tell me, what would you have done if you were in my place? And have you ever been betrayed by someone you thought you knew? I really want to hear your thoughts.